First off, if you're worried about spoilers, just watch out for the spoiler tags at the top of the video. They should give you adequate warning. I put them there purely out of kindness, so don't worry, I expect nothing in return. Okay, Death Note versus Code Geass. Ah man, these shows are so classy. Both of them exercise amazing plot design with an intelligence through the roof. I mean, for starters, there isn't a single thing that isn't intelligent and classy about Death Note. Somehow I completely forgot the second opening was directed by Satan. But hey, at least I can say there's nothing unintelligent about Code Geass. Right? No, that's okay, anime industry. Please, continue to make it impossible for me to mark anime as a deep and mature medium. I don't mind looking insane. Alright, let's get on with the verses. Firstly, let's take a look at the similarities that made me want to compare these two in the first place. And you know, I'm not entirely sure about this, but if I didn't know any better, I'd say Code Geass actually took a lot of inspiration from Death Note. Let's see, they both have very intelligent conflict, an extremely intelligent main character, some kind of catalyst superpower given to the main character that involves enough potential to emphasize the intelligence of the show, and finally, they both have two characters with opposing moral values who are constantly being parallel. Now let's continue by taking a closer look at Death Note. The first thing that becomes apparent when watching this show is just how focused it is. Death Note has three very precise sides that make up its execution. They are the two opposing characters, L and Kira, the moral debate between L and Kira, and the smart plot design which usually involves, you guessed it, the battle between L and Kira. The whole anime depends wholly on these three elements. Code Geass, on the other hand, does things a lot more broadly though. Action scenes, the side characters, who are a lot more endearing and have much more of an effect on the plot, and not to mention the glorious, the beautiful, the bouncy character development. What's that? Character development isn't bouncy? Well, actually you're wrong in that, because, you know, shut up. Whatever, boob jokes are overrated now. I'm not gonna do them on a classy show like this. Now, what you might be expecting me to say is that since Code Geass covers more engaging elements, that it's better, right? No? Oh. Oh, I guess you'd be right then. Also, I get the feeling that talking to people in my own script is the first sign of insanity. Whatever. See, Death Note weaves its three major elements together so well with so much focus that it doesn't matter that everyone but two characters is simply walking plot printers. Moral and intellectual fight happening between the two only characters of importance is just so intoxicatingly good that it doesn't need proper action scenes or much character development to pull it through. Seriously, this is the anime that can waste 6 minutes on a tennis match and still make it freaking awesome! Nowhere is this more evident when one engages the other in a battle of wits, and in parallel with each other they state their own morals, perfectly entwining their characters with their battle of wits and intelligence, with their own moral debate.
Kira, I will hunt you down wherever you're hiding and I will eliminate you. I am justice.
Wait a second. I've just realized it's effectively two men talking to themselves, one of which eating excessive amounts of sugar while the other brutally assaults a notebook. Who cares, it's still beautiful. Interestingly enough, Code Geass sacrifices the extreme focus for some more broader elements, and I really don't think this is such a bad sacrifice. I love the intricate plot and developments that the characters create together, and they're all good characters in their own right. I even like Nina, who everyone seems to hate for some reason. I mean, I tried asking some people why they hate Nina, but the only reason I seem to get from everyone is table sex. But whatever, I love all the characters anyway. Plus, it's pretty hilarious to see Lelouch get a call from the girl crushing on him while he's in the middle of commanding what is effectively a terrorist operation. Yeah, if anyone was wondering why an anime about taking back the world from an evil king is actually half set in high school, this is a prime example of why. It helps make the show more lighthearted and becomes a major tool for developing Lelouch and the others as very human characters. So yeah, looking at the two shows right now, it seems they rival each other blow for blow. Much like in my Ruby vs. Tome video. I'm not plugging myself. In the end, it basically comes down to whether you want a more focused and intense plot or stronger characters. But wait, I'm actually lying, because this applies to only the first 16 episodes of Death Note. See, everyone likes to rant about how the only flaw in Death Note is everything after episode 26, but I think Death Note loses a bit of steam in episodes 17 to 23, and here's why. In order to erase suspicions and ultimately kill L in his master plan, Light forfeits his Death Note and forgets his memories, while at the same time passing the Death Note and the job of Kira onto a guy named Higuchi. Remember the three sides of Death Note I talked about? Well, firstly, this screws up the moral debate between L and Kira, because the job of Kira is passed on to Higuchi, who knows he's an evil dick and doesn't try to hide it. He does serve his job well as a good dick of an antagonist for Light and L to catch, but one of the beauties of Death Note is that you really couldn't properly distinguish between L and Kira as to who was the protagonist and who was the antagonist. So although this side of Death Note was replaced by a good versus evil fight, I don't think anyone is arguing that the Battle of Morals was more interesting. On top of this, while Light was an impressive rival for L, Higuchi, I'm sorry, Higuchi, I'm gonna put this as nicely as I can. You're like a intellectually constrained, Nope, screw it, you're a fucking moron, Higuchi! Because of this, you don't see him fighting in a battle of wits with L like Light did. And while the anime is still pretty smart in the way Light and L bring Higuchi to justice, I miss the intelligent two-sided battle of the first 16 episodes. And so basically we're left with only the last side of Death Note, the characters Light and L. And while we do see a bit more character development arise from this, which for some reason arose in the form of gay foot massages, Death Note still really doesn't make up enough for the steam it lost. And if we're judging the first season of Death Note only, then this is the point where it loses out to Code Geass. Although I could say the convoluted Geass bullcrap in R2 was an equally big screw-up. Okay, Lelouch, just hear me out for a second. I know it would be bad to cut this whole scene, but I think it would be a lot less convoluted if we, 1. Called Geass magic and left it at that. 2. Pretended he didn't have a secondary master plan. And finally 3. Pretended she was still dead. So come on, let's just remove this whole scene from an otherwise phenomenal anime. Or, you know, you could use Geass on God. I can dig that too. Yeah, that whole scene was my only major problem with Code Geass. I kinda get the feeling the creators were so desperate to make more plot twists that they ended up making something far too convoluted that had to be rushed into a 20-minute time slot. In terms of the slow point in Death Note though, I think Code Geass actually gives us a good example of a good way to deal with this problem. In episode 20 of Code Geass, Suzaku and Lelouch, the two moral opposites of Code Geass, put their differences aside to join forces and beat a common enemy that doesn't gel well with either of their morals. And this scene comes off as, well, epic. It works in the character development of Suzaku and Lelouch and at the same time their moral battle, without necessarily having them against each other. So I think that portion of Death Note would have been better if Light had still known he was Kira, L was still pretty sure he was Kira, but despite knowing that, they knew they'd need to work together to bring down Higuchi. All the while emphasizing that they need to team up because the new Kira is the opposite of both L and the old Kira's morals. Heck, make Higuchi smarter than both L and Light to strengthen how much they need to work together. That sounds crazy, I know, but I think if you found a way to do that without demeaning the intelligence of the world's greatest detective and the old Kira, then it would work great. Oh, I know. Give Higuchi a power similar to the Shinigami eyes that helps him match the intelligence of L and Light combined. Of course, there's like a million plot holes in that, but I'm sure you could find a way to edit the finer details to remove them all. It's a really close call though. But I am leaning more on the side of Code Geass because those convoluted parts were about 3 episodes in length, but the slow part of Death Note was like 6 episodes. I guess I could call the verses here, but I'm afraid we're not quite done yet. As I say, this is an extremely close match. It's so close that the winner could easily vary a lot depending on your personal preference. And I don't really want to call one side or another because of something so small. I respect your guys' opinions after all, and I feel like it's unfair on you guys, you know? Also, my dislike bar goes through the roof. So if you're interested in part 2, it'll be uploaded on my channel a while after this part is uploaded. In it, I'll be talking about exactly what's wrong with everything after episode 26 of Death Note. I would suggest you subscribe if you don't want to forget about this though. Trust me, you won't find this analysis anywhere else. Believe me, I tried to research it myself. Also, I'm running out of good ideas for anime to compare, so if you want to see 2 anime put through reverses, just comment it below. Anyway, that's all for now. Ciao!